Hi everyone, this is the Nordic Venture Show, your guide to the exciting world of Nordic startups and venture capital. In today's episode, we're exploring a startup called Quanscient.
All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to do a deep dive into Quanscient Allsolve. And I got to say, I'm pretty excited about this one. This isn't just your typical software overview. We're talking about a game changer in the world of cloud-based simulation. So if you're looking for the cheat codes to understand this powerhouse, you've come to the right place.
You hit the nail on the head there. What fascinates me about Allsolve is it's not just about, crunching numbers faster. It's about breaking down barriers. The website I believe uses the phrase democratizing simulation, and that's not just a marketing gimmick. It's really at the heart of what they're doing.
Okay, I like where this is going, but let's take a step back for a second. What exactly is Quanscient Allsolve? I mean, the website calls it a comprehensive cloud-based platform. But what does that actually mean for someone like me?
Well, imagine having practically unlimited computing power.
Yeah.
Right at your fingertips, right from your laptop. That's what Allsolve brings to the table. It leverages the power of the cloud, so you don't need to invest in, expensive hardware or software licenses. Plus, it means faster simulation runtimes. We're talking simulations that used to take weeks now, finishing overnight.
Wait, so I could actually be getting results while I sleep. That changes everything. Tell me more about how it works.
The magic behind it all is their use of the domain decomposition method. Or DDM, for short. Essentially what it does is it breaks down your simulation into smaller chunks and then processes them all at the same time across multiple CPUs. It's like a divide and conquer strategy, but for super fast results.
Okay, so it's like having a whole team of virtual processors working in parallel. I'm starting to see why Allsolve is getting so much buzz. Can you give me a real-world example of how this speed actually translates into, tangible benefits?
Absolutely. One of the testimonials on the website really stood out to me. Ayana Volvac, a PhD working with Skytran. She used to wait 3 weeks for her simulations to finish. With Allsolve, she's getting the same results in just 8 hours. That kind of speed is a game changer, especially when you're up against deadlines or, trying to get a product to market quickly.
8 hours versus 3 weeks? That's insane. But what about accuracy, though? Does splitting the model into all these parts affect the results?
That's a great question, and the answer is no, it doesn't compromise accuracy at all. In fact, Ina actually found that her simulations became even more accurate with Allsolve. She was able to get within 3% of experimental data compared to 10% previously.
Wow, so faster A&D, more accurate. This is starting to sound too good to be true. What's the catch?
Yeah. Honestly, there isn't a big catch. Of course, you need a stable internet connection, but that's pretty standard for any cloud-based tool these days. The real beauty of Allsolve is that it makes this level of simulation power accessible to practically anyone. No user limits, no hardware requirements. Theoretically, you could even access it from your phone.
So I could literally be designing a microchip on the train. That opens up some pretty amazing possibilities. But let's talk about what you can actually do with Allsolve. The website mentions applications in things like MEMS and high-temperature superconductors. Can you break those down for me?
Sure, so let's start with MEMS, which stands for microelectromechanical systems. Think about the tiny sensors in your phone that detect motion or orientation. Those are MEMS devices. Allsolve lets engineers simulate how those tiny components will behave in the real world and optimize their designs for things like performance and reliability.
So if I wanted to design a new type of sensor, let's say for a fitness tracker, I could use Allsolve to basically test it out virtually before I even build a physical prototype.
Exactly. And that brings us to high-temperature superconductors. These are materials that can conduct electricity with zero resistance. This has huge implications for things like energy transmission. Imagine power lines that don't lose any energy as heat. Allsolve is being used to simulate how these materials behave in complex systems like superconducting magnets. It's really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Okay, so we've got tiny sensors and super efficient power lines. What other kinds of physics can Allsolve handle?
Well, the website lists a whole bunch, but let's focus on a few key areas. First up, you've got magnetism. Think about designing something like an MRI machine. You'd need to simulate the magnetic fields really precisely to ensure patient safety and accurate imaging. That's where Allsolve really shines.
All right, so magnetism is covered. What else?
Then there's acoustics, everything from designing concert halls to understanding how sound travels underwater. And of course, you've got fluid dynamics, or CFD. This lets you simulate things like how air flows over an airplane wing or how water moves through pipes.
Wow. The range of applications is incredible. It sounds like Allsolve could be used for almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
But how user-friendly is it? I'm no simulation expert.
Don't worry, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to use it. The website actually highlights a couple of key features that make Allsolve surprisingly accessible.
All right, let's hear about those. Which ones stand out to you?
Model import and edit are a big one. You can bring in your existing designs from other software, no need to start from scratch, and Allsolve makes it super easy to tweak those designs within the platform.
That's a huge time saver. Whatever the other feature you mentioned.
Meshing. It's a crucial part of any simulation, but it can be a real headache. Allsolve makes it easy with automatic meshing options, so you don't need to be a meshing guru to get started.
So even someone with limited simulation experience could jump in and start using Allsolve effectively.
Absolutely. And if you ever get stuck, they have tons of support resources, videos, tutorials, documentation, even direct support from experts. It's really impressive.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Allsolve is fast, accurate, and surprisingly user-friendly, even for complex physics. But what about the cost?
That's where things get really interesting. They use a usage-based pricing model, so you only pay for what you actually use. No hefty upfront fees or subscriptions.
So like a pay-as-you-go system for simulation, that makes it a lot more accessible, especially for smaller companies or research groups.
Exactly. It's another way that Allsolve is democratizing access to this high level of simulation power.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening introduction to Quanscient Allsolve, but before we dive into the broader implications of this technology, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll explore what the future holds for cloud-based simulation and how it might change the way we work, learn, and innovate.
Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to kind of zoom out a little and look at the bigger picture here. We've established that Quanscient Allsolve is a pretty powerful tool, but what does it all really mean? Well, we're talking about a fundamental shift in how simulation is done. Think about it for a second. We've moved from, bulky encyclopedias to having all the information in the world at our fingertips with the internet. Allsolve is doing something similar for simulation.
Okay, so it's not just about convenience. It's a whole new way of thinking about simulation. What does this shift actually look like in practice?
Well, imagine a small startup having access to the same simulation power as a giant corporation or a top university. Allsolve is breaking down those barriers. It's like leveling the playing field for innovation.
That's pretty inspiring, actually. So it's not just about faster results. It's about who gets to be a part of the innovation game.
Exactly. And think about the impact on education, too. Students can get hands-on experience with advanced simulation, even if they don't have, fancy labs or expensive software installations. That's a game changer for STEM education.
It's like giving every student a virtual lab in their pocket. I wish I had that in school. But let's shift gears a bit. How is Allsolve actually changing the game for businesses right now?
Well, companies are using Allsolve to develop products faster, cut down on prototyping costs, and create more efficient and sustainable designs. It's all about getting to market faster with better products.
So it's like having a fast-forward button for the entire design process. But are there any downsides? What about data security, for example?
That's a great point. You're right to be thinking about that. Quanscient takes data security very seriously, but it's always smart to be cautious. With any cloud-based platform, choose a provider you trust and make sure you're following best practices for data protection.
Good advice. Any other potential hiccups we should be aware of?
Well, you do need a reliable internet connection for cloud-based simulation. That might be a challenge in certain areas. Or for projects that require you to work offline.
This makes sense.
Anything else?
Yeah. One thing to remember is that cloud simulation is a tool, not a magic wand. You still need skilled engineers to set up the simulations, interpret the results, and apply their judgment. It's about humans and technology working together. So Allsolve isn't replacing engineers. It's giving them superpowers. That's a reassuring thought. What about ethical considerations? We've talked about Allsolve being a powerful tool, but with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Absolutely. It's crucial that we think about the ethical implications of any new technology, and that includes cloud-based simulation. We need to ensure that it's used responsibly and for the benefit of society as a whole.
Okay, so it's not just about what we can do, but what we should do. What would you say are the most important takeaways for our listener about the impact of Allsolve?
I think it's important to emphasize that Allsolve is really changing the game in terms of accessibility. It's making advanced simulation available to a much wider range of users, and that's incredibly powerful.
It's breaking down barriers and creating opportunities for innovation. across industries and education. I'm getting the sense that this is just the beginning.
You're absolutely right. This is just the tip of the iceberg. As cloud computing and AI continue to advance, we can expect to see even more incredible innovations in the field of simulation.
Well, this has been an incredible journey so far, but we're not done yet. We're going to take a quick break and come back to wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts and a question to leave you pondering. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back. And I've got to say, my mind is racing after that last segment. We've talked about Allsolve's capabilities, its impact, even touched on some of the ethical considerations. But I'm really curious, what does the future of cloud-based simulation look like?
That's the big question, isn't it? One trend that I'm particularly excited about is the integration of AI and machine learning into the simulation process.
AI and simulation. That sounds like we're stepping into some serious sci-fi territory here.
It really does. Imagine using AI to automate
Yeah.
really complex tasks within the simulation workflow, things like optimizing parameters or even predicting system behavior before you even run a simulation.
So AI could make simulations even faster
Yeah.
and be more efficient. That's kind of blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, it is pretty mind-blowing. And, it can open up entirely new ways of exploring complex scenarios and coming up with innovative designs that we might not even think of with traditional methods.
I feel like we're on the verge of
Yeah.
like a whole new era of design and engineering where AI and cloud simulation are working together to push the limits of what's possible.
I think you're right. The synergy between AI and simulation has the potential to really revolutionize industries, leading to, the development of new materials,
Right.
optimized manufacturing processes, and breakthroughs in fields like medicine, energy, and transportation.
It's incredible to think about. But it also makes me wonder, where does that leave human engineers in all of this? Is AI eventually going to take over the entire simulation process?
That's a question I hear a lot, but I really believe that human expertise will always be essential. AI is an incredibly powerful tool, but at the end of the day, it is still just that, a tool. Human engineers bring creativity, problem-solving skills, experience, and ethical judgment that are absolutely crucial for making informed decisions and driving real innovation.
So it's more about collaboration than replacement. AI can kind of augment human capabilities, freeing up engineers to focus on, higher level tasks and creative solutions.
Exactly. I envision a future where AI is assisting engineers, handling the more tedious aspects of simulation, while humans can really focus on the big picture, pushing the boundaries of design and problem solving.
That's a much more reassuring and inspiring vision of the future. So the key takeaway here is embrace these new technologies, but don't lose sight of the fundamentals of engineering, ethics, and human-centered design.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about finding that balance between technological advancement and human values, making sure that we're using these powerful tools responsibly and for the betterment of society.
Well, I think we've given our listener a lot to chew on today. Quanscient Allsolve isn't just some software. It's a glimpse into the future of design, engineering, and innovation. And it's a reminder that technology is constantly evolving, and we have a responsibility to shape its trajectory and make sure it's used for good.
You've summed it up perfectly. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you. I'm really optimistic about what the future holds as cloud simulation continues to evolve and, reshape our world.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Quanscient Allsolve. We hope this episode has sparked your curiosity, challenged your assumptions, and left you feeling inspired to explore the boundless possibilities of cloud simulation. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big thought-provoking questions that drive innovation and progress.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.